Welcome to Audit the Audit, where we sort out the who and what and the right and wrong of police interactions. This episode covers police officers in schools, school district policies, and public school administrators, and is brought to us by Columbus Police Body Cameras channel. Be sure to check out the description below and give them the credit that they deserve. On March 17, 2025, a safety and security officer at Ridgeview Middle School in Columbus, Ohio, contacted the Columbus Division of Police to report a possible bomb threat that had already been investigated and deemed to be not credible by school officials. According to a police report, the student said he only made the statement because he was angry that he had to switch classrooms, and school leaders informed the department upon calling that the school had determined the threat was a hoax and did not wish to pursue charges. The officers were not told if the student would face discipline, but reportedly observed the student leaving the school with a parent. The interaction that followed was captured on Officer Keith Connor's body camera.
Those guests who were expecting have arrived. No, that's locked. You gotta wait till he comes and gets you, sir.
What?
You have to wait till he comes and gets you, sir.
I'm here on official police business.
I get that. I just radio for the safety security. You just have to wait for him to come in here to pick you up. Okay? Okay. Thank you.
What?
I'm just saying that
How-
I'm
how
just
it-
going by the rules that
What
I've
rule?
been instructed. This radio for
I
him
thought
to come
the-
and get you.
have-
and he's...
Has your teachers union and the lawyers
I'm not
spoke
a
with you?
teacher's union, so
Huh?
I'm not a
Have they
teacher.
spoke with you?
No.
We're here
I'm
on
not a
official
teacher.
police business.
I get that, but safety and security is on their way to come and get you.
Okay, we have authority over safety
Oh,
and
okay.
security. Do you understand that?
Well, I
We're
have
Columbus
I have
Police.
authority over my principal. You do not over my principal to me. So she tells me for you guys to wait. You're not the first one to go through this. And I'm not trying to be combative, but he told me to let you know. Let him know when you got here. He's going to let you know. And I
Okay.
just radioed him. He's coming to get you. Okay?
Okay, well-
I'm just telling you what I go through.
Okay,
Okay.
did the union and the
I'm not
lawyers
here.
speak with, did they speak with you?
I'm no.
They have not.
And I'm not in the teachers union, so no, they wouldn't speak with me.
Okay, well, when we're here on official police business,
Well,
we are
talk
over
to
safety and
I will
security.
talk to legal about that in just a second. I will email them and ask them.
I will call. This is ridiculous.
Officer Connor argues that he should not have to wait to enter the school because the Columbus Police rank above the school's so-called safety and security officer. It should be noted that Columbus City School safety officers, who are employees of the school district, do not report to Columbus police officers, and Columbus Police have no formal supervisory authority over school security personnel, as each group has its own jurisdiction with a separate chain of command. Likewise, Ohio law does not grant police officers unfettered access to public schools, despite the fact that they are owned and operated by the government. According to Section 3313.20 of the Ohio Revised Code, quote, "The Board of Education of a school district or the governing board of an educational service center shall make any rules that are necessary for its government and the government of its employees, pupils of its schools, and all other persons entering upon its school grounds or premises." While applying this statute, the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Ohio determined in the 2011 case of Swick versus Dillon that, quote, "The Ohio Revised Code specifically grants local boards of education the authority to manage the issue of entrance on school grounds of persons other than students and school employees." And, now quoting again, "School officials reasonably control access of non-students and non-personnel to school grounds." Now, we will discuss the rules for access to school grounds created by the Columbus City Schools Board of Education later in this episode, but for now, it is important to understand that, in general, absent an emergency or warrant, police cannot demand entry to a school or access to a student over the administration's objection because the administration has the legal authority to control school access. Now, while a court would likely find that under the Fourth Amendment's exigent circumstances exception, officers can lawfully enter property without a warrant or consent if necessary to address an ongoing emergency or prevent imminent harm, in this instance, the officers were responding to a non-emergency call from school administrators or staff after the potential threat had dissipated, and therefore, as invited guests, a court would likely conclude that they were subject to the rules created by the school board to gain access to the property.
We are here in official capacity.
But you're not the
Well-
only one. So I'm just going
The-
by what I know that I've been told by my principal.
So if a teacher's being beat up, I have to ask you to let me through the door. Is that what you're saying?
No, I need Mr. Howell in my office ASAP, please.
So if a teacher's getting beat up, I have to go through you to get to that teacher. That's what you're
Mr.
saying.
Howell.
So
I'm
yeah,
just
this
telling
is.
you what I was told. He told
So
me.
if they have an emergency here, she has to decide if it's a big enough emergency.
Talk to them and let them know what they need to do. Are you taking them out that way? Or are you taking them out? What's going on?
I'll put them in the conference room for right now.
Thank you, please.
Hey,
Take them out of my office, please.
I was trying to explain to her that the Columbus police are, she said we have to wait for safety and security. Columbus police are over safety and security. If there's an emergency here, I don't need to explain to her, I need to get in here and get in here now instead of go through this. What?
Not according to the district rules that they give us.
Now,
There's an active shooter, we have to. sit
so,
here and wait
yeah,
for
so
them.
if you have a shooting,
Let's see, if that
she's
was
gonna
a-
sit here and determine to let us in. That's not acceptable.
No, it was an active shooter, but anything else, if it's not an active
This
shooter.
is not acceptable at all.
Can you step back over here? Because I just heard a lot of
Okay.
chaos, and I was in a meeting, so I know, Mr. Howell, come on back over here, please.
This-
The door, please.
So, what I'm going to do is get back a hold again with the teachers union. I'm going to get a hold of legal
What
because
does the teachers union have to do with this?
it seems like they're some of the only people that have pull. If we have an emergency at the school,
Let's see.
I should not have
Well,
I should not have to explain to this woman why I'm here. I don't come here for party time. I come here on official police business. This is a game we've been playing for years. This is a game we no longer want to play with you. You should be welcoming us. You called us.
We did call you.
If you don't want me here, and if you want me to beg you to get through that door, don't call me then.
Okay, well, I'm not really sure all that happened, but
It's all on recording on body cam.
Well, but I just came over here because I heard some noise going on. I heard my secretary having to argue or whatever was going on. What I do know is, and I want to make sure this is on camera too, we felt a lot of disrespect by some of the members of the Columbus Police Department, including yourself, sir. What just transpired here, I do not know, but we definitely did call you today.
How did we disrespect
Oh,
you?
at one point in time, one of your colleagues, and just even your demeanor right now, your demeanor is off. So we did call you
Because I'm not
today.
into playing games.
Well, I'm not into playing games either, sir. But we are going to follow the district protocols and so forth and so on. Today you were called because a scholar made this threat, which he said he was just playing. So Mr. Howell contacted you, and so now you are here. Miss Nash was doing her job. I don't know if she knew you were coming or not. I don't know what transpired.
I did. in that
Okay, if she
situation.
knows we're coming here for a reason,
Sir,
I should
sir,
not have to
sir,
beg and
can I
plead.
finish explaining
No, don't
myself?
argue. Don't argue.
So
Don't.
Mr. Howell asked me, he said, when CPD gets here, let me know. And as soon as I saw them on the camera, I called for him and said, your guests have arrived. If there was a situation would have been warranted that it was immediate or whatever, I would have been told because I'm the first point of contact. But that wasn't the case. The case was, when they get here, let me know. And that's what I did. But then I get combative because, I need to go through, blah, blah, blah. That type of situation.
Well, then the other caveat too that we've been told from our district is that the police can't just go all over the building and do whatever you want to do. That has been established too. Now, if it was an active shooter, that's something totally different. But that's not what's going on right now. But there are rules and
So
protocols
if a
and
teacher's
so
being
forth.
assaulted,
Principal James states that she is following district protocols and requiring the officers to wait for an escort before entering the school. According to the Columbus City Schools Board of Education Policy 9150, quote, the superintendent or principal has the authority to prohibit the entry of any person to a school of this district, or to expel any person when there is reason to believe the presence of such person would be detrimental to the good order of the school. Likewise, Policy 9150 of the Columbus City Schools Administrative Guideline manual states that, quote, each principal shall establish rules and procedures for visitors, which shall include the following. Every visitor to a school must register at the school office. Any person who does not register with the school office is on school property illegally and should be asked to identify themselves properly or to leave the school grounds. The policy then requires that, now quoting again, after completing the building sign-in process, the visitor shall be escorted to the classroom unless the teacher is expecting the visitor and directions to the visitor will be sufficient. Likewise, the policy prohibits visitors from seeing a student in school without the specific approval of the principal and states that, quote, no staff member is to transact business with a visitor who does not have a visitor's pass or has not duly registered at the school office and received authorization to be present for the purpose of conducting business. Additionally, Board Policy 5540 specifically addresses law enforcement presence on school grounds, stating that, quote, when law enforcement or other authorities arrive at the school and wish to interview a student or investigate an alleged violation of law, they must contact the building administrator or his or her designee, indicating the nature of their investigation and their desire to question a student or students. Now, although these policies do not require visitors to be escorted in every situation, they grant a significant amount of authority to a school's principal to establish and enforce the rules and procedures for visitor access to the school building, and specifically mandate that visitors register at the office before transacting business with a staff member. Accordingly, because the officers were not at the school to address an active emergency, but rather merely responding to a non-emergency report of an alleged violation of the law, it is likely that a court would conclude that Principal James was within her authority to require the officers to follow established visitor procedures and wait in the office for an escort, although it should be noted that it is unclear whether this so-called protocol was established by Principal James herself or by the district, as she claimed. Either way, Principal James has the authority to set the rules for visitor access to the school, and it is improbable that a court would find that she exceeded her authority or obstructed the officers by making them wait for the safety and security officer to come to them in the front office, rather than just grant them immediate unfettered access to the school building.
So if a teacher is being assaulted, so there was a breakdown on that too, which Mr. Howell and I discussed as well. But the assault had already taken place. But nonetheless, the teachers called, so they were the ones who made the phone call, and then they had already given information over the phone as to the scholar. Now, it gets back to me that allegedly I stopped information or whatever.
Yes.
That's not true, sir. You and I only talked once. When I came
You
out
said
of
I
my
will not
office
provide
door,
that student's
no, I did
information.
not. You asked me, was
Yes,
he
ma'am.
going to be suspended? I said, I cannot share that information with you, and walked away. That was the only conversation you and I had on that day.
In the last 2 years, I know you have refused to provide
Because we
student
followed the
information.
district protocol.
But that's not your
Yeah,
protocol.
we have
Now, are
some-
you
there's
to
some
give me that
protocol.
student's information now?
It depends on what the situation is.
Are you to get, if
It
in an
depends
assault,
on what the situation is.
If those
Not
teachers
for
are-
me, the teachers are to give that. They were
no,
the ones who called.
you are the principal
No,
of
that's
this
not
building.
how it works. They were the ones who called. You had the conversation with them.
Principal James argues that if a staff member is assaulted by a student, district protocols require the teacher to provide the student's name to the officer, not the administrator. Columbus City Schools Board of Education Policy 5540, which we discussed earlier in this episode, states that, quote, written documents or video-audio recordings containing personally identifiable student information in education records may be provided to law enforcement officers only with written permission of the parent, in response to a lawfully issued subpoena or court order, or in response to a request from agency staff. However, the policy does allow for such information to be shared verbally on a discretionary basis, stating that, quote, information may be shared verbally with law enforcement officers who are conducting an investigation in fulfillment of their official duties. Additionally, while Board Policy 8330 restricts the release of so-called personally identifiable information, such as a student's name, the policy does specifically authorize the administration to, now quoting from the policy, report a crime committed by a child to appropriate authorities. Finally, Policy 3362A of the Administrative Guideline Manual requires that any staff member who believes they are the victim of threatening behavior to notify the compliance officer and, if in the case of imminent physical violence, contact safety and security and/or the appropriate law enforcement agency. Accordingly, the publicly available district policies require staff members to report threatening behavior, but they do not address the protocol for an actual physical assault. Likewise, while the policies authorize advise administrators to share the names of students with police who are conducting investigations, they do not seem to require them to do so. However, I could not find any publicly available district protocols that would specifically require a teacher who was the victim of an assault to report the student's name rather than the administrator.
So they were the ones pressing the charges or the assault charges or whatever the case might be. That was not Natalie James or Ridgeview Middle School. They had that conversation with you. So that was over there. You and I only talked briefly when I stepped out of my office. So
you've constantly refused information. Are you denying that?
I followed district protocol.
Okay.
The only reason why I came out because there was something going on in the office and I stepped over here.
Okay, I will
because
get with the attorneys.
There's some arguing going on over here with my secretary. We have safety and security for a reason. I personally do not feel comfortable even speaking with you, to be quite honest, because of the way that, because I believe that you do not even have my safety in mind. So I'm just being very clear.
Okay, and as an administrator, can I give you my feeling? You, for some reason, you don't like the police, and you want to make things so difficult for us that we don't want to come to your school. And listen, I listened to you, did I not?
You did.
You are, and I don't know what in your life happened that you hate us so much that you don't want to cooperate. But the Teachers Union, and I've talked with them.
I'm gonna pause you because it's not going to be back and forth. I don't have any hate towards the police or anything like that. There are some who come in over to Ridgeview who are just fine, but all of this and escalatedness and so forth and so on. I do not feel safe. I don't feel comfortable. But because I'm the building principal,
You're ridiculous. That's
and
ridiculous.
I heard what was going on,
you don't feel safe right
then
now.
I came on.
You don't feel safe right now.
I do not.
Okay, well
So,
then why don't you go back to your office and hide in safety?
So, Mr. Howe, did you provide him with the information?
I'm going to walk out and give it to you.
Okay.
Because I can only give you.
Yeah, just give me the top half, and that's fine. I need name, date of birth, and his contact information.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to give you. And then, like I said,
And that's what we had not been provided in the past, so that's actually a benefit for us today.
Because we were the ones who called the school. We called from our end.
Well, you haven't been willing to do that before. So now, there has been some changes. There has been some changes. And you've been forced to give us some information that we've
We've
needed.
been following the rules.
You never have.
We
This
have.
is a first for you.
I follow the rules,
I'm
sir.
impressed.
May I have your badge, Mr.?
It's Officer Connor, badge 1300. I do not have to provide you with a card. It's Officer Connor, badge 1300.
Can you write that down?
And we can play this for whoever you want.
I'm sorry.
CONNER, badge 1300, ma'am. And we can play this tape for the union and who else ever wants to see it at the school board. So, I appreciate your time. Yeah. Larry's got to tear it off. He can't give me the bottom information.
Are we doing anything with this?
No, the students already been, sir, I already checked this bottle of book bag, I checked the locker, I checked. It's just a little
Figure out what's going on.
Give me 1 second, we'll get the times on it.
You see what I mean? Something in her life has happened, and I don't know what, but she is absolutely the most uncooperative person that I've ever dealt with in a school system that wants the police. But if there's a situation here, we don't need to beg that to get through that door. This is ridiculous.
After the interaction, the body camera footage gained attention in the local news media, with Principal James drawing criticism from citizens, the Fraternal Order of Police, and even Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost, who shared a link to the interaction on X, and posting that, now quoting, "No principal in Ohio has the right to keep responding police out of a school building. The principal's conduct was unacceptable." However, in Attorney General Yost's post, he also stated that he spoke with the quote-unquote chief, presumably referring to Chief Elaine Bryant of the Columbus Division of Police, who told him that the officers had been able to complete their mission during their visit to Ridgeview Middle School, and that a meeting between the chief and the school superintendent had been set. The existence of this meeting was confirmed in a statement by Columbus City School spokesman Mike DeFabo, who also told the press that Columbus City Schools Employee Relations was reviewing the incident for the district, while the Department of the Inspector General was reviewing it on behalf of the Columbus Police. As of the date of writing this episode, the results of any meetings between the school district and the police have not been made publicly available, and Columbus City Schools has not issued a comment as to whether or not Principal James's conduct was in line with protocols. Overall, the Columbus officers get a C- for attempting to use their authority as police officers to undermine the authority of Principal James, demonstrating fundamental misunderstandings regarding the limitations of their authority, and for maintaining a hostile and condescending attitude throughout the encounter. Despite not responding to an active emergency, Officer Connor insisted that he was entitled to immediate entry into the building, arguing that the Columbus Division of Police outranked the school's internal security personnel. However, as we discussed earlier in this episode, school security officers operate under the authority of the school district, not the police department, and Ohio law grants school administrators broad discretion to control access to their campuses. According to both Ohio law and district court rulings, school officials maintain legal control over who may enter school grounds, even when those individuals are police officers. This authority is only limited by emergency exceptions, such as exigent circumstances, which clearly did not apply in this case, as the alleged bomb threat had already been investigated, deemed non-credible, and the student had left the premises. Rather than acknowledge this lack of exigency and follow the school's established visitor policies, Officer Connor chose to challenge the principal's authority and demand access that he was not entitled to. His demeanor during the interaction suggests that his frustration stemmed less from any immediate law enforcement necessity and more from a perceived slight to his authority. Although no rights were violated, and the officers ultimately completed their task without making an arrest, Officer Connor's combative attitude, coupled with his mischaracterization of the situation as an ongoing emergency, introduced unnecessary tension into an otherwise resolved incident. While Officer Connor did not engage in any overtly unlawful behavior, his failure to adhere to established protocol, his insistence on unwarranted authority, and his inability to de-escalate a low-stakes situation all demonstrate poor judgment and a lack of professionalism. It is also worth noting, by the way, that Officer Connor mentioned calling the teachers union and other entities multiple times throughout this encounter in what appeared to be an effort to threaten Principal James's job. Not only is this completely uncalled for and unprofessional considering the circumstances, but it also suggests that this may have been a recurring issue that demands attention from city leaders. Principal James gets an A for remaining calm and collected throughout the interaction, strictly adhering to the policies of her school despite being pressured by members of law enforcement, and for adamantly preserving the safety and security of her students. Throughout her interaction with Officer Connor, Principal James remained composed, professional, and firmly within the bounds of both district policy and applicable law. Despite receiving pushback from the officers, she maintained a calm demeanor and clearly articulated that the school's procedures were being followed. Contrary to the online narrative that she obstructed an active bomb threat investigation, the record shows that the threat had already been investigated by school officials, deemed non-credible, and the student had been released to a parent prior to the officer's arrival. At that point, there was no active emergency and no legitimate reason to bypass school protocol. When Officer Connor arrived, Principal James required that he wait in the front office for an escort from the school's safety and security officer, a decision that was fully in line with district policy. At no point did she prevent the officers from carrying out their duties, and as confirmed by both the police chief and Attorney General Yost himself, the officers were able to complete their mission of obtaining the student's name. The school's conduct did not obstruct the investigation. It simply required that the officers follow the same procedures expected of any visitor entering the school. It's also important to highlight the fact that Principal James acknowledged that if an emergency were taking place, then the officers would be granted immediate entry into the school, but no such exigency existed at the time. At one point in the encounter, Principal James expressed that she felt uncomfortable with the officer's demeanor, a statement that, based on the video footage, appears to be both reasonable and measured. Officer Connor's body language, tone, and insistence on immediate access reflected a confrontational posture that could easily be perceived as aggressive in a non-emergency setting. I commend Principal James for demonstrating a clear understanding of her legal authority, upholding her district's policies with a professional demeanor, and prioritizing the safety and order of her school without impeding legitimate law enforcement objectives. Let us know if there is an interaction or legal topic that you would like us to discuss in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to pick up your copy of the Civilian Rights Hand Guide in the links below.